out for Harambe, you know what the it is.
Hey, out for Harambe.
That's actor Danny Trejo and comedian Patrick Wardle. What in the world are they talking about? And what does it have to do with 2016's favorite and most tragic Grade 8? This is Meme History. Warning. This story begins in a pretty dark way, but ultimately ends with the internet more or less united over love for a fellow primate. On the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend 2016, a 4-year-old boy climbed into Cincinnati Zoo's gorilla pen. He was met by a 17-year-old, 400-pound silverback named Harambe. With their gorilla clearly disoriented and agitated by the screams of zoogoers, zoo employees shot and killed the animal in order to protect the boy. Later that day, a video taken by an onlooker was uploaded to YouTube, where it got 12.6 million views and 41,000 comments in the next 2 days. Harambe was not actively harming the child, but zoo officials noted that tranquilizers would have taken too long to take effect, and in the meantime would have aggravated Harambe further. Zoo director Thane Maynard gave a press briefing the following Monday.
This child was being dragged around. His head was banging on concrete. This was not a gentle thing. The child was at risk. We're very fortunate that he's okay.
A local news article was shared to Reddit, where it quickly got thousands of upvotes, and a Change.org petition was set up. The petition, titled Justice for Harambe, gained almost 500,000 supporters in the first week. It called for the Cincinnati Zoo, Child Protection Services, and the Cincinnati Police Department to hold the parents responsible. It stated, "We, the undersigned, want the parents to be held accountable for the lack of supervision and negligence that caused Harambe to lose his life. We believe that this negligence may be reflective of the child's home situation." To a lot of people, that had some serious racist undertones, given that the child and his parents are black. Soon, hashtags Justice for Harambe and RIP Harambe began trending all over Facebook and Twitter, and the story began to be picked up by major news outlets. Animal rights activists held vigils, and scientists debated whether gorillas should be held in captivity at all. In a letter to the zoo director, Jane Goodall suggested that it looked like Harambe was trying to protect the child, but she was ultimately sympathetic to zoo employees, supporting their decision. It wasn't long before the racist undertones of the story became a little more than undertones. On June 1st, a Facebook page called AFL Memes posted 2 images comparing Harambe to Adam Goodes, an Aboriginal Australian football player, causing huge backlash. Out for Harambe, first a tweet by comedian Brandon Wardle, then a Vine watched 2.2 million times, then a movement famously endorsed by Danny Trejo of all people, jokingly called for armed revenge for Harambe's death. Here is a euphemism for firearms.
Out for Harambe, you know what the it is.
Hey, out for Harambe.
It was a comedic way to stand with the animal rights community, but to a lot of people it was unclear whether or not it was actually mocking them, and it was controversial whether or not any of this was a joking matter in the first place. But that's kind of the point. The death of Harambe was such a big deal online because it was so polarizing. In the fallout, Thane Maynard's Twitter was hacked and vandalized. A false rumor circulated that 11,000 people voted for the gorilla in the 2016 election. There have been Harambe raps posted to SoundCloud, and J.K. Rowling retweeted an image of a Harambe Patronus. It would be near impossible to list everything. Comedy generally, and memes specifically, can often be ways a society does some self-examination. In a post-pandemic world, it's easy to forget that before 2020 was the boogeyman of all bad years, 2016 being a mess was a trope all on its own. The death of Harambe is a good example of that. The Cincinnati zookeepers made a split-second decision in order to save the life of a human child, but it came at a cost. Of course it was messy. The deaths of things we care about often are.